What's going on, guys? BCK here, and today I'm bringing you a guide on how to defeat the Warpriest in the new Kingsville raid in the new Taken King DLC. This specific boss was particularly one of the most funnest bosses I've ever faced in Destiny. Is funnest even a word? Funnest? Most fun? I don't know. But this was an incredibly fun boss to beat, and I am so excited to bring you these guides. After myself and my fire team beat these bosses, I'll be pumping out videos for you guys, making sure I cover everything in the best detail possible. So without further ado, let's get started. So to start the whole thing, there's three different platforms, right? There's a platform in the center, left, and right. And above the platform you see on your screen there's a little pillar. And that'll come into effect in a little bit. But to start it, you all have to jump on the platform, and the Warpriest gets summoned. He spawns all these ads, and you have to do ad control. And eventually, there'll be some major knights coming out, and those are signified by kind of like a little roar kind of audio cue, if you will. So when you hear that roar, for lack of a better term, I don't know what else to really call it, but when you hear that, that's when you know the majors are coming out. And then right after you kill the major knights, not the major cursed thralls, but the major knights, then the glyph sequence will start. And you can't see it, but on the back of those pillars, there'll be like this little highlighting kind of light almost, that will signify what order you need to step on those plates or those platforms, because there's a specific order, and if you mess up the order, the glyph sequence is broken and you have to start over. But if you do it too many times, if you break the glyph sequence too many times, you guys all wipe. So you want to make sure that you know which order it's in just by simply going to the back of the pillars and trying to see what order it's in. But wherever it ends, so that order right there was left, center, right, it ended on the right, so whoever hit the right platform gets the brand of the initiate, yeah. So the responsibility of the person with the brand is to kill an ad every 8 or 9 seconds, because you have a timer. You have a 10-second timer that lasts up to 5 different rotations, if you will. So you have to wait till your timer gets down to about one or two, excuse me, and then you have to kill an ad to reset that timer. And then what was 5 times 5, it then goes down to times 4, and then you keep doing that until it gets down to times 0, and then that should give you and your fire team at least a good solid 40 minutes of dealing damage on the Warpriest, as you just saw right there. And if you kill ads too fast, then you get, you lose a significant portion of time to deal damage. So you want to time and space out the kills that you get if you are holding the brand, and everyone needs to be inside of your brand for them to deal damage. So wherever the brand holder goes, that's where the fire team goes, basically. So what you saw right there was an Oculus. Now after the damage dealing portion is done, you have to stand behind one of those 3 pillars, as I mentioned before, to avoid the Oculus. And if it's kind of like the Oversoul in a way, but if you guys are not behind the pillar, then you guys will all wipe and you have to start all over. So after each Oculus, 1 pillar goes down. As you see, there's no pillar there anymore. So you have to kind of coordinate with your team where you guys are going to be based on where the brand will be. Now I think this next order will end in the center, so it works out anyway. But you guys just have to coordinate with each other constantly all the time to see where you guys are going to be with the brand and deal as much damage as you can as possible. Now, my specific role for this was to generate as much orbs as I possibly could, because in this portion of the raid, supers are very crucial. So my job as a Sunsinger, I actually switched from a Stormcaller to a Sunsinger. I found that Sunsinger was a lot more helpful, but my job was to create as many orbs as possible down in the center so everyone could get their super back. But apparently the sequence ended on the right again. There is really no specific order in which the sequence goes. It's random every time, but primarily I found that it starts on the left side. Primarily, I mean, there's sometimes where it ends on the left side, but primarily I found that it ends on the left side. So as you're seeing right now, it's kind of a crappy run. We have about 3 or 4 people that die, and you can tell that it doesn't really help that much when people are dead because you don't deal nearly as much damage. We were lucky that we had a really good first run, but you need everyone to be alive. So here's kind of a good example of the brand responsibility. You know, I was staggering the ads and trying to kill them as best I could throughout, you know, that timer, and that's what gives you and your fire team the most time to deal damage. So I guess what I would recommend is try it's I don't know, because the center is easy but it's hard at the same time. It's easy to keep ad control, and it's easy to spawn orbs as you see on screen right now. But that was my responsibility. That was my goal, to get everyone their supers back as best I could. But it's also really hard because you take a lot of damage from the Warpriest. You know, you'll find that if you're on the right side or the left side with the brand, I'm sorry, you deal a lot more damage a lot easier, and you don't take as much damage because, you know, you're behind cover, and the Warpriest, you can just kind of strafe the Warpriest a little bit. But I don't know, I at first we kind of preferred the center, but as we kept doing it, like, we found that the left or the right side were the preferred sides to hold the brand, go with the brand, and, you know, start the whole process. The only thing is that if you're on the sides, it's kind of tricky to get those ad kills when you need them. But I mean, what we did, we just kind of hung on the side or the edge, and then, you know, whenever we needed to get a kill, he would just pop over that edge, find an ad, and then kill him. It was as simple as that. But the fire team that we got going on, we got me as a Sunsinger, we have a Titan Defender, we have a Titan Sunbreaker. That Titan Defender grants weapons, which, by the way, weapons is very, very helpful in this. Weapons of Light is very helpful. I highly recommend someone bring a Defender Titan and use Weapons of Light because it's very helpful. So we have a Sunsinger, Sunbreaker, Titan, Defender Titan, Night Stalker, Gunslinger. He has the Celestial Nighthawk, and he dealt like, I think with weapons and with the Warpriest being tethered, he dealt like 50-some thousand damage with his golden gun with Celestial Nighthawk on. And then we had, I think, another Defender Titan. So, you know, as you can see, we only have 2 of the 6 of our fire team are the new subclasses. Guys, you do not have to use the new subclasses. Preferably, you know, I actually prefer the Sunsinger. I don't care what anyone says, that I feel like is the best subclass in the game. Anyone can make an argument about, you know, well, this class can do this and the Sunsinger can't do that, or blah blah blah. Now, I personally feel 110% that the Sunsinger is the best class to use in any PvP situation. It spawns more orbs, it's the only class that can self-res, and, you know, it's a tanky class because your melee is a flame shield, which lasts 13 seconds. Like, I know the Defender Titan has something similar with the Force Barrier, but I don't know. I just feel like the Sunsinger is the best subclass to use. But what I'm trying to drive home is that you guys do not have to use the new subclasses. However, I do recommend that at least one person use the Night Stalker, because the tethered Warpriest, every single shot is a crit hit, and what the original crit hit was, the damage is increased. So all of your rocket launchers, all of your heavy machine guns, all your fusion rifles, everything will be doing a crit hit. And if you stack that with Weapons of Light, you deal ridiculous damage. Like, absolutely ridiculous damage. So I highly recommend, at least for the Warpriest, to have a Defender Titan with weapons, and then to have a Night Stalker with, I think the perk is called Black Hole, where it increases the range, potency, and duration of tethered targets. So I think that's what it's called. But yeah, that's what I would definitely recommend for this particular part. The other 4, it's kind of up in the air. You know, like I said, I'm the Sunsinger. I like to generate more orbs to get my teammates their supers back, because again, in this particular boss fight, your supers are very, very important if you have the right ones. But yeah, you know, this is pretty, it's really, really fun, but again, it requires god tier communication. You know, again, whichever, you'll see right now, those are the highlight markers right there, that little orange thing, he stepped on it, that initiated that he stepped on it. So it was right, left, center. So I was the last guy, meaning I get the brand. And now you'll see a good example of me kind of staggering the ads, so I can reset that timer and get as much damage off as on this dude as possible. So you see right there it says ×3, and then the timer just resets. So if you were to just keep killing ads, that times 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 would run out so fast, and you would lose so much time dealing damage. But there you guys have it. We finally beat him. It was an incredibly fun boss to fight. We ended up fighting this boss for about 2.5 hours just trying to figure him out, but honestly, it did not feel that long at all because we were all having so much fun. But guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be bringing more guides for you guys. Do not worry. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like. And as always, YouTube, peace out.